Let's review our personal finance case study, go through the information here, and begin to build our financial plan on a spreadsheet. The data has been included here in the document. I've gone ahead and saved you some time in typing in creating a spreadsheet here that will just save you the typing time. Everything in here is pretty much what's in the case that's already been typed in here. Couple of things. We start at the beginning. We have our net income. This is the amount of money that's coming in. Then we have our expenses, the amount of money that's going out. And then we worry about our net worth. Our net worth are our assets minus our liabilities for our total net worth. And of course, we want to consider inflation because prices and purchasing power in the future will be probably less. So we just start here up here at income. And income, we've already given it $50,000. We've gotten that off of this part of the document that was provided. Obviously, in your own case, you just add, ask what the income was of who you're working with or yourself. We also some other payroll information here. So we have health insurance is $6,000. Now I've put that in here as a formula. So it's $500 a month, and then the yearly cost is C4, which if you double click, you can see which cell it is. C4 times 12. And then if you hit escape, you can remove the formula. So that gives you $6,000 here. So it said 6,000 in this spreadsheet, but we kind of want to know how much it is a month, so we can get a monthly total and a annual total. So we put in monthly here. 401k is $2,500 a month. So over here, under 401k, we can do it in reverse if we choose to. So if we want a monthly total, we would simply make the cell equal to this cell, obviously, divided by 12, enter, and we can say that it's $208.33. The little decimal point calculator here can cut the decimals off. We really only need round numbers. The cents don't matter. Taxes haven't been included. So you would have to look up the tax tables for this particular individual at this level of income, because this is gross pay. 401k and health insurance are removed from gross pay before you pay taxes. And the tax bill is going to be different for everyone. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and put in 0.35 in here, or I'm going to turn it to percent so it's easier to see. I'm going to put 35% in there. Now, 35% is not necessarily the accurate number. So one of the things you can always do, of course, is look at your take-home pay and just look at the actual amount you bring home, and then adjust for either you get a refund or you have to pay at the end of the year. You'll get a real number here as far as take-home pay, adjusted for your state, local, and federal taxes. So that's one way to look at it. Regardless, what number here is actually really important is this take-home pay. So in this case, we're going to estimate 35% in taxes. And if it's 35% in taxes off $50,000, then we can see that the take-home pay per year would be equal to $50,000 minus the $6,000 for the health insurance, minus the $2,500 in the 401k, and all of that we're going to put parentheses around it, and I'm just doing this up here in the title bar, parentheses around it, and that answer we're going to multiply it by the tax rate, and that will give us our taxes. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to change this just slightly, because this is a little, this is a little trick that you can do to get after tax rates. So this is actually going to be parentheses 1 minus the tax rate. So that's going to give us the after-tax take-home. So instead of getting the amount of taxes we paid, in this case we're going to get the amount of money that's left over after we pay them. And so we just hit equals there, and we see that it's 26.75, and we're going to turn that into currency and get rid of the extra decimals. And so we can see that after we remove this, we are only left with 26,975 as take-home pay per year. To take that into take-home pay per month, we will simply take this equals this number divided by 12, enter. We have $2,247 in take-home pay per month from our $50,000 a year after we pay our health insurance and after we pay our 401k. So that gets us started here. I'm going to get rid of the decimals. In addition to that, I've put a couple things under expenses here that I didn't include or we haven't discussed. As you go forward in time, obviously time's going left to right here, we kind of want to know where we're at. So I'm going to say this is 2016, I'm going to go to 2017, and now I have a pattern, and one of the easy things to do in a pattern in Excel is to grab the pattern and then see where it turns into a little black cross and keep going. You can see that the 2018, 2019, and so on keeps going, so you can just drag it across. That saves you typing a bunch of numbers. And it's at an age. Our case study said Doug was, where was it? He's 25 years old. So we put 25 in there this year, and next year he'll be 26, and now we have a little pattern going, and the pattern will allow us to drag it out. So we can have perspective as we go forward. I've got two numbers for inflation here, inflation primary and inflation special. The reason I have two different numbers is because we have general inflation for everything, and then some things go up faster than others. And if there is something of serious interest to you, for example, your child's education might go up faster than, say, food or housing. So you might want to put a special inflation number on that. So I've given you the option here of doing that. If you wanted to do 3 or 4 different inflation specials, you just insert a row, and you could say inflation special 1 and inflation special 2. So you could always just insert a row, just highlight a row and click right click and go to insert. You can also delete it. So I can just delete that row, and then we just go back to where we were. I'll get rid of the 2. So you can see that. You go through the example here. We have $2,248 in income. We have total expenses that add up to $2,960. So $2,960 and $2,248 aren't good. So it's possible that lots of things are going on here, and we need to adjust some of these numbers and his spending. So if this number is true, the 35%, and he really only brings home $2,248, maybe all of this isn't exactly what's going on. So we would have to go back and ask. It's possible that the family gifts and Christmas gifts aren't $50 a month, and it's possible he doesn't spend $42 on shoes every month, and it's possible that clothes are not $125 every month. Auto gas might be less. Restaurants and going out and household and maintenance, that could be less as well. So you would go back and look at all those things, because clearly you don't want to have a negative expense here. So you'd have to adjust those. Before you get to that, we want to look at 2016. We're going to assume inflation primary is 3%. So we have 3% here. I'm going to turn that to a percent, and I'm going to drag that across as 3% going forward. Inflation special, I'm not going to have anything there. And then the rent. Rent is going to be, this is a monthly number, so we need a yearly number. So the yearly number here is going to be obviously equals this cell times 12, enter. So we have a month or annual rent number. Now, if I drag this down, it's going to take that next cell and make it an annual number. So I can just go all the way down this sheet and drag it all the way down and get myself an annual number of expenses. So I spend, or Doug spends, $35,523, and he brings in $26,975. That's not good. So we have to work on that somehow and adjust his spending and make suggestions. But you can see how we can window in and get all kinds of numbers here very quickly. In addition to that, now we want to go to 2017. So this is 2016, this is 2017, and we have an inflation number, a primary inflation number of 3%. So if we take our salary and we want to go across, so we've got $50,000 this year, and if inflation's primary it's at 3%, let's say Doug's doing pretty well, and let's say his salary inflation is, in this case, we're going to say 4%. So he has a little bit better of a raise than inflation, but not much more. So we're going to turn this into a percentage, and now we can calculate this number. So it is equal to this number, the previous year, multiplied. And this again is you have to think about what you want to do. We don't want the 4% increase. We want the increase on top of what it was last year. So we multiply by 1 plus the 4%. So we get the entire amount plus another 4%. End the parentheses, enter. So we have 52,000 here. I'm going to turn that into cash, get rid of the extra digits. And so we have this number. This number, because you could drag it down here, but we don't think health insurance is going to raise that much. I think his pay into it will be steady. I think the 401k will be steady. So this number will probably be the same going forward. So in this case, we could drag it over, but it's going to drag a formula, right? So it drug this formula, which is D4 times 12, which is okay if it's C4 times 12, but it's not okay if it's D4 times 12. So we don't want that formula here. So we're going to hit escape, and we're going to hit delete and clear that contents. What do we want here? We just want this to equal this cell, and we hit enter. And there we go. We just have the cell be the same. So if we change this to 600, both cells stay the same. So we haven't typed in a number. We're still using a formula, but and this is our input over here, which we can change. We can change to 500 and go back, but it changes all these cells. So you always want to change these numbers by cells, not by hard numbers. Same thing's true here. This cell would simply equal D5, and we're good. So now if we drag this 6,000 over, what's it going to equal? Well, it's going to equal the next cell. So this equals up here D4, and if we drag it to F, it'll equal E4, so it keeps dragging it along. This 52,000, the 2,500 will also do the same thing. The 52,000, if we drag it, is going to move the formulas over, and we find that the formulas equal nothing down here because we have no 4% increase. There's nothing in the cell. So it stayed the same number. So 1 plus nothing is the same number. Well, that's not what we want. We want this to stay stagnant, or we need to drag the inflation number over. So let's drag the inflation number over, and now you see this cell changes. So that's very important here. When we get down to here, we see that we have a complex formula up here, and if we drug it across, it would start to look a little strange because this isn't right. So we need to double click on this to see what formula is going on. This seems right, but this green box, we need to keep this over here at taxes. So we can do one of two things. We can drag this over with our little hand and drag it over, and that will make it correct. So this is this number with taxes, and then this would take this green number all the way over. Or we can take this formula and change the formula slightly and add dollar signs. If we add a dollar sign in front of the C and a dollar sign in front of the 6, that cell will stay if we drag it. So we hit enter there, and now we just take this formula and we can drag it, and you can see how the formula stays the same, and it always stays on the green cell, but the red, blue, and purple cells move. So this is staying to the green, and these cells move. So now we can drag all of this. If we move across, we can take all of this and drag it forward, and it should, well, there's something wrong. So let's go look and see. This clearly doesn't work. So what's wrong? What did we learn from this? This is 54,000, its previous number, by 104%. I think I found the problem. So why is this 104%? Well, this is 4%. This is 4%. Maybe I should have changed this instead of typing in 4% to equals this cell. Enter. Now, if I drag that, does that fix my problem? Oh, it did. Look at that. Okay, so this is why we don't type in numbers, we type in cells. So the salary inflation is 4%, and in fact, what I really should have done is put the 4% here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to cut it out of there. I'm going to put it over here and paste it. And that leaves all this referencing this cell over here. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to drag it back to here. Whoops. Undo. I'm going to not drag it back to there. I'm going to say this equals 4%, enter. So this is C9, 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 C9. All of those cells equal 4%. And now I've adjusted. I can keep going forward. In addition to that, you can see I can take this number of the years and drag those forward. And now I've got starting to fill in a pretty good sized spreadsheet. So that'll get you started. You can obviously take these numbers and work through the rest of it and then add the assets. How would you add assets? Well, you go back to the sheet and say, okay, we have assets of a 401k, a checking account, a savings account, and so on. Even baseball cards are going to go up in value. Then you have some liabilities. You've got the balances of here and here. You got a student loan of $25,000 you're trying to pay off, and so on. In the future, you've got some nanny care that you're going to have to put in here, and so so all of these can be put in here. That will get you started. Start with that. See if you can use these same techniques to be able to get the rent and the rest of the things moved over so you can drag those across. You're obviously going to go up to 95 years old, and that's really easy to do. You get, the cells here. Oops, hold on. 2019, and we're 28 years old forever. Huh, wouldn't that be great? Okay, so this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. 27, 28, 29. So this isn't working for me. I didn't drag properly. So this is an important thing when you're dragging. So this is your pattern. So you need to drag it so the pattern changes. I ended up dragging one cell without a pattern and it didn't change. So these are all hard-coded. The other thing you could do here is 3%, and this equals that. Enter, and then drag it, which means each one of these just simply equals the cell before it. The same thing is true with the dates. You could do that, or you could do the years, the age the same way. So you've got a couple techniques there you can use. If you see something that's out of place when you drag, then stop and see why it dragged, or why it was a problem, and then you can always double click it to see what's behind the cell and why the number comes up that way. So you do the same thing here for all of the other assets. Add all those in and see if you can't build this spreadsheet out given that technique. We can go over it in class, but this should give you enough to be able to build this out until they're eventually 95 years old, which is what the plan says this plan has to go to. Once you get the base case built out, because all of this is going to change over time, once that's built out, then you can go back in and say, okay, 25, 26, 27, 28, he's going to have kids here. So then you type in kids, or excuse me, married, which is going to cost money. So you've got to put money into it for the marriage, and then you've got kids that you add in, and then you've got additional kid expenses, and then of course the job up here. He's going to get an MBA, so he wants an MBA, and then he's got a better job, right? So this salary is going to increase, so you can start making adjustments. But until you get the base case built on where you are here and just take it all the way out forward, it's hard to make those adjustments. So build the base case first. That's what we're going to go over. That's your homework over the weekend. I want to go over it on Monday. So please, everybody, get your base case built. And when you got wherever you are in the process, please email it to me no later than Sunday night so I can review it for you. So that's what we're looking for here. And if you're not in my class and you're seeing this video somewhere else, don't email me it. But if you're in my class, send it to me by Sunday night so I can see where you're at and help you. And if you have questions, I'm one text away, so don't hesitate to text me. All right, so that's your long video of how to get started in this one spreadsheet. Your numbers should match very closely to these. The formula should be like this, and then see if you can start doing the rest of these assets, liabilities, net worth. You should be able to do this given what I gave you, but if not, I'm one text away. Thanks so much. I'll see you in class.